What are the major parts of the plant? Can you tell me? What are the major parts of the plants? Can you tell me? No, you don't know the major parts of the plants also.
Ma'am, stem, root,
Root, leaf, bud.
bud, flowers.
Yes. Roots, stems, leaves, buds, flowers, nodes, internodes, these all are the major parts of the plant. Basically, there are larger number of the plants that are found in our surrounding areas, and we also are very, very familiar that plants comprises of different shapes as well as different sizes. There are very smaller plants present in the surrounding area. There are very, very larger plants that are also present in the surrounding areas. Besides this, we also know that larger number of the plants according to varieties of the habitat. According to the different habitat, different varieties of the plants can be found. Some of the plants can be found in the water, some of the plants can be found in the land areas, as well as some of the plants can be found in varieties places of the land area. Some grows in hot water, hot places, some grows in cold places, as well as some in marshy area. So according to the places where these plants are growing, according to the places where the habitat of the plants are present, the modification of their body parts also differ from one plant to another plant. For instance, or for example, we can take the easier example of the cactus. We all have seen the cactus, yes or no? Where does the cactus grow? Where does the cactus grow? Can you tell me?
Desert.
Desert. Cactus grows in desert. So we all are very familiar that deserts are such a places where there is very, very lesser amount of the water, and it has extremely hotter climate, or it has extremely hotter temperature. Yes or no? More temperature, lesser or very scanty rainfall, and no water. Very lesser amount of water is found in desert areas. And these desert area also comprises of some of the plants, but these plants have such type of structure that helps these plants to easily, very, very easily accommodate in the desert area without difficulty. These plants are easily growing in the desert area. Similarly, there are several other plants that grows in varieties of the places, and according to the places where they grow, they have different bodily features. Different structures are present within their body that performs varieties of the functions.
Ma'am,
Yes, Manjila?
by vary means, ma'am.
Vary when I go different. VARY, vary means different. Plants vary from small to very large भनेको प्लान्ट चाहिँ सानोदेखि ठुलोसम्ममा पाइन्छ, तिनीहरूको रेन्जेसहरू चाहिँ फरक हुन्छ भनेको. Okay? Okay. So, as we were talking, the roots, stems, and leaves of the plants are present in major parts of the plants, and these are present in most of the plants. These are present in almost all of the plants that are present in our surrounding areas. But according to the location where these plants are found, according to the place or habitat of these plants, the roots, stems, and leaves of the plants are modified so that they can perform their function properly, they can do their work properly. Mr. Rita, please stop writing, otherwise I'll remove you from here. Okay. So basically, as I was giving you the example, cactus, as it grows in the desert area where there is very, very leisure amount of the water, where there is extremely higher temperature, their leaves are basically modified into thorns that we all are very familiar. Yes, instead of leaves, the thorns are present in these particular plants that they can, so that they do not lose huge amounts of water. If instead of the thorns, the huge leaves are present in the plant, the leaves generally or tentatively loses huge amounts of the water. Sulabh Shrestha. Okay, I guess first of all I need to remove these fellows from that, then I'll continue. Okay. Sulabh Shrestha, informing you and removing you from the classroom. Okay. So basically, wait, okay. So basically, almost all of the plants, not only the desert plants, not only the plants such as the cactus that grows in the desert, but most of the plants that are present in varieties of the places, according to their location, according to their habitat, their body features are modified. Their root stems and leaves are modified into different shapes and sizes so that they can easily adjust in the surrounding environment. They can easily protect themselves from the climatic conditions as well as the areas in which they are surviving. And process this process in which the living organisms, specifically the plants modify their bodily structure in different forms according to their location, according to their function, is regarded as the modification of the plants. These modification of the plants are the non-hereditary changes. We do not transmit from one plant to another plant. These are the non-hereditary changes, and these changes occur so that they can easily adjust in the surrounding areas without any difficulty. Like the desert plants have thorns instead of leaves. Similarly, the plants that grows in the higher Himalayan regions, such as coniferous trees, they have the cone-shaped structure. The tree itself have cone structure and they have needle-like leaves so that they can protect themselves from the higher amount of snowfall when it falls in the surrounding areas. Besides these, the aquatic plants, their body parts, the aquatic plants also have the waxy coating inside in their body so that they do not decay inside the water. So these are the modifications, these are the adjustments that is made by the plants that they can easily adjust in the surrounding habitat, they can easily adjust in the surrounding location without any difficulty. Besides these also, specifically these three different parts of the plant, that is roots, stems and leaves of the plants, modify according to the necessary habitat. The first one is modification of the roots. As we all are very familiar that roots are the underground parts of the plant. Roots are sensitively found under the soil and these are very, very important part of the plant. We all know the function of the roots. Yes or no? Do we know the function of the root?
Yes,
Do we
ma'am.
know the function of the root or not? What is the major function? First major function of the root. Can you tell me?
Ma'am,
Yes,
to
ma'am.
supply
Absorb
water,
the water and
water
absorb
from
water
minerals
at the plant.
Functions of the root. First one is absorption. The roots basically help in absorbing the water and minerals that is present inside the soil. Water and minerals are extremely important nutrients without which the plant cannot grow and develop properly. And the water and minerals that is present in the soil is basically absorbed by the roots and it is sent to the different parts of the plant. Similarly, without the roots, the plants cannot stand firmly in the soil. The second function is the anchorage. The anchorage is provided by the plant so that the plants can stand firmly on the soil without any difficulty. So these roots, which have the very, very important functions in the plants, which helps in absorption of the water, which helps the plant to stand erect in the soil, which helps in storage of the food materials, these roots are also modified according to the surrounding area, according to the functions or according to the habitat in which they are living. Basically, there are two different types of roots that can be found in our surrounding areas, such as taproot as well as fibrous root. If the main root are present, main root along with the secondary as well as tertiary roots are present, it is regarded as the taproot system. As if the roots do not consist of main root, if the clusters of the root come from one particular point, it is regarded as the fibrous root, which we have already studied. So both of these roots, whether it is a taproot or a fibrous root, these are modified according to the surrounding environment. The root also change their structure. Roots frequently change their structure according to the surrounding environment to perform the varieties of the functions. So different roots, whether it's taproot system system or it is the fibrous root system. Their modification is also done according to the surrounding area as well as according to the functions. According to the varieties of the functions they perform. And here in this lesson, we will only study about the modification of the parts of the plants according to the varieties of the functions they perform for the plants to survive without any difficulty. So here in this case, the roots are modified. Roots are modified into different shapes as well as different size or different forms so that they can perform three major functions without difficulty. First one is the storage of the food materials. For the storage of the food materials, for the mechanical support as well as for the vital functions, to perform varieties of the functions, to perform different varieties of the functions without any difficulty. These particular substances or roots are modified. These roots are modified into varieties of forms. So, the first one is for the storage of the food materials. As we have seen, there are a larger number of the plants present in our surrounding area. The plants have different functions, the root system have varieties of the functions. One of the function that is performed, one of the modification that is done by the plants is for the storage of the food material. Storage of the food material is extremely important. Storage of the food material basically is important for the plant so that we human beings can obtain the food material as well as the plants can also take the food materials in the time of necessity. They can use the food materials for their growth and development. They can take the food materials so that they can damage parts. They can repair the damaged body parts that are present in the body. Rita Swandari, please mute your mic. Okay. So in some of the plants, the roots becomes very, very flaky. Very flaky roots are present, such as in the carrot. Beside that, in the turnips. Similarly, in the radish, we can see the swollen part. Below the ground, we can see a very, very swollen part, which is exactly the roots of the plant that is helped to store the food material. So in some of the plants, the roots become very flaky, the roots become very, very swollen so that they can help in absorption of the food materials. And because of the flaky part that is present below the swell, because of the flaky part below the swell, that is present below the swell, huge amounts of food material can be stored for a longer period of time, and it works as the food material not only for the plants but also for the human beings and other animals. This condition occurs, or these modifications basically occurs when the aerial parts of the plant, aerial parts means the part of the plant which is present above the swell, cannot perform their functions properly due to the unfavorable condition of the environment. Because of the unfavorable condition of the environment as well as because of the nature of the food materials themselves, the aerial parts of the plant cannot work properly, cannot provide their functions properly, or they will be worn out. So when these conditions occurs, the underground part of the plants or the roots will be modified into the swollen part or modified into the flaky part so that they can store huge amount of material. So that when the condition becomes favorable, when the environmental condition becomes favorable to the surrounding area, the new birds can be formed from the same flaky part without any difficulty. So basically, for the storage of the food material, to provide the food material to the birds to help in budding process in the latter stages, when favorable condition of the environment, then those underground part of the roots or the roots of the plants basically modify the swollen structure or into the flaky structure so that they can easily absorb the food materials without any difficulty. So here you can see there are different examples that helps in modifying of the food materials for the storage of modifying of the roots for the storage of the food materials. That is, sacks of carrot as well as turnip. They basically get swollen so that they can store the food material for the future use. Clear? So basically, in this case, what will happen in the swollen case simply means that the upper and lower part of the radish, the upper and lower part of the radish or the canker basically becomes thinner in nature, whereas the middle part basically becomes very swollen or very thicker. So that they can absorb, they can store huge amounts of food materials without any difficulty. Similarly, depending upon their shape, what type of they have, there are several varieties of the shape. The shape of the turnip differs from shape of the carrot, shape of the carrot differs from shape of the rabbit. Shape of the radish. So basically, depending upon their shapes, they are classified as the conical roots. Yes, that are classified as conical roots, fusiform roots, and napiform roots, as well as tuberous roots. Four different types of roots. They are classified as four different types of roots so that they can appear or they can store the food materials without any difficulty. The first one is the conical roots. Conical roots are basically broad at the base and conical at the apex. Carrot. तलपट्टि चाहिँ अलिकति ब्रोड हुन्छ, माथिपट्टि चाहिँ अलिकति टुट्टो जस्तो निक्लेको हुन्छ, so that is the carrot, which is regarded as the conical root. Similarly, next one is fusiform roots. Fusiform roots are present in the radish. जस्तै हामीले मुलाहरुमा देखेको हुन्छौँ. The fusiform root, basically the ends are tapering. अगाडि साइड तल र माथिको पार्ट चाहिँ के हुन्छ, they are quite pointed and the middle parts are swollen. Middle parts are swollen so that huge amount of food materials are stored at the middle part, such as in the radish. Such roots are regarded as the fusiform root. Besides these, there is presence of the napiform roots. Napiform roots are the roots, or the roots are called napiform roots, in which the roots are basically spherical at the base and tapered towards the apex. तलपट्टि जस्तै टर्निपहरुमा गान्टेलाहरुमा चाहिँ के हुन्छ त तलपट्टि चाहिँ बेस नै एकदमै डल्लो हुन्छ अनि माथि टुप्पोमा आइसकेपछि के हुन्छ, इट इज भेरी pointed. So that root is regarded as the napiform root. Whereas next one is tuberous roots. Tuberous roots are some type of roots which do not have specific shape. कुनै पनि प्रकारको स्पेसिफिक शेप नभएको, एउटा डल्लो जस्तो मात्रै भएको अथवा लाम्चो कुनै पनि प्रकारको शेप भएको, दे appear very thick, very fleshy. एकदम swollen हुन्छ, fleshy हुन्छ, but they do not have the specific shape. Such type of roots are regarded as the tuberous roots, and these are basically present in the sweet potato. So whatever is the types of root, whatever shapes they take, or whatever type of features or whatever types of shapes they intake to store the food material, the basic thing is they modify inside the soil. The underground part of the soil or the roots modifies itself inside the soil, and then they particularly help in storage of the food material. They basically have the fleshy part. Huge fleshy parts are present in which in some of the plants ends are tapering, in some of the plants the upper part are tapering, or in some of the plants they do not have the specific shape. But all of these are modified so that they can store the food materials during the unfavorable condition of the environment, and when the condition becomes right, they can easily give rise to the newer or different types of a newer generation. They can bud properly, they can grow the bud properly and give rise to the new plant.
Ma'am, potato ko kun roots huncha?
Potato have tuberous roots. Potato comprises of tuberous roots. Yes.
Ma'am, lenticles mean?
Lenticles means sagharu, sagpatharu. Audio sagpatharu, these are regarded as the lenticles. Any other?
No, ma'am.
Sure. Okay, so today the time is about to be over. Your homework for tomorrow is, today we have studied different varieties of roots that are present. Yes, roots are modified on the basis of what? Roots are modified on the basis of what?
What food storage?
On the basis of environmental condition, yes, on the basis of surrounding environmental areas, as well as they are also modified on the basis of their habitat. So Basically, they are modified for three different reasons. That is for the storage of the food material, for the mechanical support, as well as for the vital functions. To perform the vital functions such as for the respiratory process also, the roots are modified. Today we studied about the first modification of the root, that is for the storage of the food materials. The roots are basically modified on the basis of the for the storage of the food materials. Yes.
What is inheritary?
In hereditary means which cannot be transmitted from parents to offspring. Hereditary means transferable characters. Genes origin transfer that is hereditary. Non-hereditary means that character which cannot be transferred. So modifications are the non-hereditary characters. Okay. So your homework for tomorrow is to write down. If you write down the modification of the roots for the storage of the plants, for the storage of the food materials. We have studied today storage of food materials. Here, and find the picture from the internet and draw it in your copy.
Ma'am,
So that's
picture.